Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Rise with Raise. And today we have Raise with us to talk about the topic of being able to manifest your twin flame effortlessly. So, one of the questions I want to start this with for everyone to think about is a reflection question. Have you been searching for that person to complete you? And most people are. And the key in this is that you can only be complete within yourself. For you to attract and do this effortlessly and them to complement you, then you have to be complete within yourself. But that's where people tend to get stuck because they don't even know what that means. So, Raise, let's talk about that. And what does that, how would you share with people what that means about coming into wholeness, completeness within themselves so they can effortlessly manifest their twin flame?
So yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Harmonies. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. So, going into that in a little bit more depth, actually cultivating that inner peace, that knowing, that clarity within you this will help align you to attracting in your highest match, to attracting in your twin flame. So a lot of us seek outside externally for everything that we need. And that's when we create that looping cycle that we talk about, where we're going and we're repeating same old patterns, and we're going into all of these different, the same process over and over again. When we go into the actual place of feeling complete is when we've created that wholeness within us, that we have done that inner work, that we have cultivated a sense of self-love within us, that we know our worth, we know our values, and we are very clear about what our worth truly is. So what our desires and how they can be met, and actually raising that bar up. So I would say a lot of people out there, how do you feel about yourself? If you were really honest, put your hand on your heart and say, how much do you really love being you? How many qualities do you really admire about yourself? What are your strengths that you love? Yeah, what are your weaknesses that you acknowledge, but you're empowered through that acknowledgement? And recognizing all of these different aspects, so our light and our dark, and really bringing that into a whole and embodying that whole through love, can really find that place of inner peace where we then become that powerful magnet to attract our twin flame. This is where I got to on my journey. When I attracted in my twin flame, I got to a place of completion within me, of being really clear, knowing my worth, knowing how much I love being me. And that's super powerful because, yeah, a lot of us, we can be so negative and so hard on ourselves. And then this vibration, we send this out, and this is what we become. We become living in that vibration of negativity. We attract relationships or friendships or romantic relationships that reflect that vibration, because this is the vibration that we're holding on to, and this is what we're believing our worth to be. So if we are believing that, that is what we are attracting in. So when we come into that completion of actually really stepping into our power, really stepping into the love and knowing our worth, this is when we can really shift the dynamics and create that vibration that will attract your twin flame in.
So another piece of that I find is that it's about honoring our emotions and all sides of ourselves, all aspects of ourselves, not separating from those, because it's those parts of ourselves that we judge, we don't honor, and we're not being our true self. So, and being the true self is when you do come into the wholeness and the completeness within, where you are loving, honoring, and accepting all aspects. And not only just that, but the way you feel, the way you see things. And you're not judging it from a place of separating yourself from anything. So completeness is like shadow and light. So being able to look at our darkness and find the light in our darkness, to be able to see the sides of ourselves that we maybe once judged, and to now come into the collecting that aspect or being one with that aspect and loving that aspect and stop judging that aspect. Now we are integrating with that side or that darkness that then will dissolve the darkness because we're not resisting it. And then we can become one with those parts of ourselves that we've separated from. And that helps us then, obviously, like we said, become complete and whole within yourself. That helps you come into alignment with your true self. Because one of the things I see in this with people, and one of the biggest problems I think with people creating separation or not being complete within themselves, is because they're not being their true self. And until you are in alignment with your true self, the highest version of you, the authentic version, the part of you that can show up and make no apologies for how you show up, and not judge yourself, and not be worried about what other people think about you in that process, and speak your truth, and just show up and be real, right? And stepping into that realness, or sharing who you are, or letting people see you that way. And a lot of that, we talked about this before, is a lot of the vulnerability. And we also talked about a lot of the vulnerability, and how to become vulnerable was like a whole segment in our 5-day challenge series, that if anybody has not got plugged into that 5-day video series that we did for the perfect inner work, check out the links above or below, because in the description, because that will be very powerful to take you deeper into coming into your authenticity, deeper into your vulnerability. So get plugged into that, because it's a very powerful tool that we've created for you. But that is a huge piece, I think, that people won't be them true selves, and they project outside of them what they want and what they want in that person. And that's where the seeking comes in, that we're talking about here. If you're just joining us, we're talking about how, if you've been seeking for that to be complete from that person outside of you, then you're separating from it within you. And the only way you can then magnetize your twin flame, or attract your twin flame easily and effortlessly, is if you're in alignment with who you are, your authentic version. And then that will draw to you the level of what you need from them, or let's say the level you want from them. Because here's another point I want to bring up here that's so important. We don't always attract what we want, but it's always easily and effortlessly. We attract what we need. So you're going to get out of your twin flame from your, will trigger you, and everything that you need within yourself. So when you can take and look at every trigger, every pain, every aspect of what experience, I should say, with them that you like or you don't like. So most of the time it's what you don't like. So it's like, okay, well, if I don't like this, what did I do to create this? I'm going to pause right there, Raise, and I'll let you share some ways that, we could look at this from an aspect of how do we create these situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to touch on what you talked about with the separation, that a lot of us, we create a separation within our mind and our emotions. And this is where we stay in a place of thought, of thinking that this is how we want it to be, this is how it should be. And we're not truly connecting with our emotional body, with our feelings. What Dr. Harmony was saying about being your authentic self. Well, how many of you out there suppress your feelings? How many out there try and hold on? You don't express your feelings because you're in fear, you're afraid of exposing them, you've been taught or conditioned that actually that level of expression isn't okay. So it's about really recognizing how we can connect with our emotional self, learn to feel, because when we learn to feel, this is where we get that attraction come in. We send out those vibrations, and this then comes in to attract what we want and what is truly aligned with our energetic self. So it's really understanding how to step into a place of being you, of going on that journey of loving you, and that the vibration will do the work for you. You elevate yourself.
So let's talk about that, because the way I see that, and always talk about this, is that we separate from these things through the vibration of the interference that's like causing us through our thoughts, feelings, emotions, our actions, self-sabotage, like just all those things that create this separation in our energy field, because it is all energy, because we are a battery, we are energy, and it's about us in that place of operating at our best self, which sends out these signals, the emotions, and it is our belief systems really that create, the response mechanisms that we have that trigger us. Then when we take a look at that and we look at, okay, well, why do we believe this? And it's like that belief system, it's rewriting that basically. And so when we go through and we look at our experiences, it's those vibrations of those thoughts that create an emotion. And then the emotion sends out the signal and the frequency that creates the attraction. So it's not even necessarily the thoughts. So it's like, but the thoughts are formed and create beliefs. And the thoughts, they piggyback between thoughts creating beliefs and beliefs creating thoughts. And so it's basically like breaking down that cycle mentally as to, like, especially in this time and era, I see people needing to rewrite truths. And these are like, these beliefs become truths that we feel or that we experience. So if it comes to, in this case, that we are wanting to become our true self so that we can feel whole and complete within, and that's going to allow us to easily and effortlessly attract our twin flame, because we're going to attract who we are. What are some really practical, like very practical at the core ways to remove this interference energetically, to work energetically to prevent the interference that's causing the frequency to stay low?
Okay, that's great. A great question. So cultivating a sense of self-love is huge. So really working on how you can honor yourself. How can you shift the frequency of feeling low about yourself and elevating it into a place of understanding your worth, understanding your values, really taking daily steps to do this, changing your mindset, talking to yourself, practicing mantras, changing your thoughts. How many of us just race away with our thoughts? How many of us just, we're not centered. We don't really understand ourselves. We're just running. We're running on this, core, and we're not actually practicing presence. We're not practicing how to be here currently now, because we're always focusing on the external influences around us. So it's all about really homing that into yourself and really excluding everything, because we can go right into a mindset of what we're feeling is right, as Dr. Harmony was saying, and what is wrong. And it's actually letting that go completely and being.
Yeah, and that's, I don't want to interrupt you, but that's a little bit of the acceptance of both sides. That's the contrast and the polarity that's happening inside of us that's creating that separation in us too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So shifting that perspective is so powerful, because a lot of us, we feel we know what we want and this is what's going to make it better. But actually releasing that and going into a place of totally accepting and trusting in being here, being present, showing up, loving yourself, focusing on yourself, valuing yourself from the words that you use. Be mindful of how you look after yourself, how you talk to yourself, the people that you associate yourself with. Nurture yourself and really, really, really value who you are. And this is going to really, really elevate your vibration, because we're looking at, we think everything else has got to fix what we're doing. Maybe, more money or attention or whatever it is that you're feeling will validate something to give you that feeling of self-worth. Well, that's the very core of what you're missing if this is what you're looking for. And this is what we can find in ourselves. This is where we can access our heart. This is where we can access our emotions. And it's such a beautiful journey. I know a lot of you might feel really afraid of looking at yourself, of touching on emotions. I hear it time and time again. I can't cry, I can't release. I'm too afraid to express myself. Well, just for today, stand up and express yourself. Go somewhere, express your emotion. Instead of thinking, what should I have? Think, what do I want today? What do I want to do? And start shifting your mindset and your whole all your actions, align it with actually a whole new direction, and start taking action.
The minute we can see these triggers, let's say wounds, because the trigger is hitting the wound, right? But the wound is creating the emotion. And so the emotion of the triggers and the wounds is coming of a low frequency, which is a piece of that interference we were talking about. And just if anybody's joining us, just so you know what we're talking about you being able to become whole and complete and one with yourself so that you can easily and effortlessly attract your twin flame. But to do that, you really need to become whole and complete within, even though you might be searching for that completeness outside of you. It's inside. And so that separation, and one of the things you mentioned that like I think is really huge is the acceptance of all of you. And so if you're just tuning in, also make sure to check out the 5-part video series that we've created for you for the perfect inner work, basically to say that, you know, stop doing so much work and accept yourself for who you are, where you are. And that's going to accelerate your process, because you're spending so much time do, and your focus and your perception is on what's wrong. Okay, this is a piece where I'm going with this. So check out in the link above or below to get plugged into that 5-part video series that we've done that's free resource for you to be able to learn more about this vulnerability we're talking about, and also more about the acceptance. But we tend to want to fix everything, you know, around us in this controlled environment. And it's a piece of that is surrendering into the process of allowing. And that's going back to what I'm saying now, is when we can see the wound and we allow ourselves to see the wound rather than mask it or create an illusion of it or pull out of it, then 75% of the process becomes that you've healed it, because you won't unsee it when you fully see it. When you create an awareness around a program, a pattern, and if that's anyone here and you've been working on all of these things, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you, what your journey's been about, and if you are experiencing that sense of still seeking someone outside of you, but knowing it's inside of you, but you're still having trouble finding inside of you, even, you know, becoming complete with inside of you, even though it's something we kind of all know. So even when you said self-love a while ago, Raise, it was like, okay, and you did go down and break it down, but everybody knows mostly now, I got to have self-love to have my twin flame. But then if we know that, what's the problem? So, right. And so what I'm saying here is the piece of the problem is you're not willing to see it because you don't want to feel it. And you're therefore projecting outside of yourself that it's something outside of you that's causing it. And therefore you're the runner, running from that emotion, running from that feeling, running from that thought, running from seeing it. But the minute you come into your ability to see it, then you have to feel it to heal it. But feeling it is going to allow you to collect that aspect of you that you separated from, we're talking about. And so this is something that I don't recommend you necessarily do this alone. That's the other piece of that. So many people want to go through this process and do this from a place of, I can't see anybody now. I can't, you know, I've got to heal on my own, because that's the other flip side. Some people know enough about it, so I got to be in my power to shut themselves out from receiving help. And I was like, I got to be the one.
More separation. Yeah.
That's more separation. Exactly.
And we have a fantastic way of self-sabotaging ourselves, don't we, with this? We sabotage ourselves and we create more separation. And I feel that that is one really good observation, to take a look at your life. And where are you creating the separation in this? How are you disconnecting from yourself, feeling that we can do this, we can survive, we can. And when we're in that survival mode, we are in that place of actually, we're not thriving, are we? We're just trying to survive. Which is a place of vulnerability. So reaching out, I know that I've been having chats lately about reaching out, finding a mentor, finding a teacher, finding somebody that aligns with you to help elevate you, to take you to that next level. And actually seeking out people to do that, to assist you, is really, really powerful to help you with that growth. We're not meant to do this alone, people. We are all part of a whole community of beings that are one consciousness, and we're all here to raise each other up and support each other. So if you are one of those people that are going into separation, that are suppressing, that are shutting themselves away, they're not communicating, they feel that they have to do this on their own because that requires strength. That's what strong is. Well, this is again another self-sabotaging belief that we can program ourselves to have, that actually takes us away from growth itself. It stunts us. So when we are in that self-sabotaging of separation, we are suppressing ourselves. We're stopping ourselves from moving forward, and it just takes one action. So I know I'm really touching on quite a few people's core problems here, because this is something that I struggled with for a very long time, going in and out of separation, of believing that I had to do things on my own, believing that I was disconnected or people wouldn't understand. But when you actually open yourself up, as we talk about, to a whole new perspective, open yourself up that actually there are people, there is energy that is lying. This is part of the whole manifestation process. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I've seen in that, how it relates to attracting what you need from, say, your twin flame to trigger you to, number one, hit these wounds for you to see, feel, and heal them, right? But number two is you got to like look at this also in the flip side of this. They are also wounded inner childs as well. They also have things that they need to see, feel, and heal. And you're also their reflection. And so one of the things I always say is, can you hold space for them, for what they need, what their needs are?
Yeah.
And if that's anybody here, let us know, because most of the time you can't. 99.99% of the time you can't, because you can't see past your own, number one. And you want somebody to fix your own rather than you give what it is you desire and show up for them, but you want them to show up for you when you're not showing up for them.
Exactly, Dr. Harmony. This is something that I have been in a loop with my twin flame, and actually having the awareness of knowing that this is holding space, that actually taking that reflection is showing you an aspect of you and what you need to work on. This was a process that took me a long time to actually get to, because I was focused on that's what needs fixing within him. That's what he needs to do, instead of actually recognizing that he's shown me aspects of myself that needs to work on. And then you go into that space. And when you actually create that space of holding that space, of not having this emotional fixed attachment to wanting what you want as an outcome, you really, really see the growth. It's huge. You get the shift.
And I want to tell you a little bit of my experience from the flip side of that. So that's one aspect to look at it from, or like one component to look at it from, holding space for the wounds. But on the flip side, when it comes holding space for the greatness or the love or how good and great the dynamic can and should be when you get through the wounds, is also feeling the sense of holding space to know. And I'll give you an example in my case. So he reflects to me the love, like he basically gives me all this love and loves me so unconditionally. But it's so great that then in that vessel within myself, to be that same reflection, it creates a desire to want to be available to allow him to feel equally as loved.
Beautiful.
Right? So this is another way to say it, kind of a little simpler maybe, but if somebody's loving you and giving what you want, you feel so, and it's so unconditional, and you feel it so deep and so connected to it that you don't want to have it just given to you. You want to give it back. And that's when it becomes like a positive vortex of feeding each other. So we're talking about it the other way of feeding it from a negative cycle. I'm shifting this and talking about from a positive cycle. So if you want to get out of the negative cycle, if you can flip your focus and your perspective on what it is that you're not getting or what you don't like about what you're getting, and you start giving what it is you want, you're going to get it back.
Absolutely. You flip it around and you change it. Yeah. So that a lot of us focus actually on what other people are doing wrong or what they want to change. But you flip that into how much you can love that person, how unconditionally loving you can be, and watch that come back.
Yeah. And that's what the whole journey is about anyways, unconditional love. But then most people don't love unconditionally in it. Right. And that starts with acceptance of the self. So we'll just kind of recap and just tell everyone that if you're just joining, make sure to go back to the beginning and watch this. If you're coming into this later, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know if these things are resonating with you. Let us know if you have any questions. We're going to take a minute to answer some questions here in a minute. But we're really talking here today about the idea that if you maybe have been searching for the one, to complete you, and that you want that twin flame. But the problem is you don't know how to manifest it from a place of ease and grace. And the way you manifest it from ease and grace is you become and give and do and be and have what it is you want. And that's going to bring to you what it is. So we've talked about several ways to do that. So I won't repeat all of that, but you will want to go back and watch what we've said if you've not already done so. And so make sure to check out all the ways you can glow forward with us in the links above and below. And also check out, if you've not got plugged into our 5-day video series on the perfect inner work, it's a perfect free resource that's going to help you accomplish a lot of things we're talking about here. It's life transforming. The people that were in it had massive shifts during that 5 days we were together working through these steps. That is a sample of what we're taught. Like today is a sample of what we go dive deep into that. And also there's a Facebook group you should really get plugged into, because Raze is doing a weekly reading there, Awaken with Raze, and share in her twin flames in there, and they're doing videos there. And actually, I just got to say this, I just got to announce this. They're going to be coming live in August, not live, I shouldn't say live. They're going to be starting a series of videos in August that you're going to get to see her and her twin flame actually on a weekly video that we're going to be posting here on Facebook. So make sure to like and subscribe so you can follow the content that they're going to be sharing and talking about between themselves. And so I'm going to be quiet now, Raze, and let you kind of recap anything, and then we're going to check for any questions or comments we have here.
Absolutely. Definitely. I would say get plugged into the community that we've got on Facebook. It's fantastic. It's got so much content in there. Myself and my flame, Jonathan, we show up, we do lives. It gives you an opportunity to come and chat to us, come and ask your questions. It's really face to face. You come in and it's a beautiful community. We've got so much content coming up. So I really, really, really suggest staying plugged in, staying tuned in, because what we've got coming up is huge. And I'm so excited. Jonathan's excited as well to share with you everything that we've learned and how we've grown and how we can assist you flames on your personal journey.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. It's so cool to see you guys out in your mission together and on your mission at the level now of, and went through 11 years. If anybody doesn't know Raze and Jonathan's story of being married for 11 years and going through the process of elevating themselves to go through all of the push pull and the whole journey, and to now be stepping into their mission all in, and having a lot of tools, tips, and resources to share with everyone so that you can follow and learn more about how they're doing it from the inside of their twin flame love dynamic, being married to your twin flame. So yes. So, all right. So let's just see here. We have, somebody's mentioning my shirt. So I'm going to just see here really quick. So the eye with the rays or beams. I saw it earlier today. What is the symbol? What does it mean? So the eye itself is like the all-seeing eye, and it represents the ability for like the awakening, spiritual awakening. And in this particular case, at the bottom, you can't see it, but it says shine your light. I don't know if you can see it, but
love that. Beautiful.
So it's like the ascension process, and this is like the awakening to your higher self, and being able to connect and open to the higher wisdom, and doing that. This and you might want to say anything about the all-seeing eye, the himsa. Like this is also a himsa, like in the hand. Well, the himsa hand, it's in the himsa hand sometimes, about spiritual awakening, spiritual enlightenment, connecting to the truth. You want to add anything to that?
I feel like it's a really good symbol when you meditate to focus on, to actually open your eye, see how you can open that, so you can focus that eye on your third eye, and you can actually see where your eye is at. Really tune in with yourself and how you see that, because this is really showing you at what state, and tune in, to how your eye is open, and you can see, how kind of you're running at that point. So I feel it's a very powerful meditation symbol to bring in, so to focus on, because it's our vision. It's giving us the opportunity to see everything being in that awakened part of ourselves, and it's just beautiful. Yeah,
and it represents like the third eye, which is awareness. And then also when we do the awakening of the higher self and of our spiritual enlightenment, we actually activate inside of us through the pineal gland activation to open up fourth eye wisdom. And when we do that, we tap into more and more of that higher wisdom that we embody and bring into our heart. So great question, though. Thank you so much there. Arcadius dude. Thank you. So we have Pink Lady. She's just saying hello, I think. Logged in with her business account. Lisa. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for just joining us today. And then let's see. We have, all right. And I'll let you read this one, Raze.
Totally agree. When we operate at our best and the highest good, then we are able to rise above all things. We have to be a love cause in motion, and being that love cause will make a huge difference first in our own lives and then in the lives of others. When we are in love and who we are, it is easier to be in love with others. I call it the overflow of who we are, glowing and flowing over into the lives of others. That's beautiful,
Isn't
Jeremiah.
it?
You
Yeah.
have such fairy words. I love it when you come up. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. That's absolutely
Yeah, it's always
beautiful.
so eloquent, right?
Absolutely.
Great show, first of all, but totally agree. When we operate at our best and our highest good, then we are able to rise above all things. And that's another thing that we talked about earlier about ways and why you would want to raise your vibration and how, like, that's a piece of it. So a piece of raising your vibration energetically is just knowing that every day you show up being the best version of you. And if you know what, like, the best and the highest version of you is, and you want to be, even though it's not here, you become that person in today by your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and acting as if you are the person you want to be at your best.
Yeah.
And that's how you become your best.
Absolutely.
All right. So when we are in love with who we are, it's easier to be, okay, that love others. Okay, that's actually the same piece of the other one. Okay, awesome. Great information. So I just want to, again, just thank everyone for joining us on the Rise for Race weekly show that we do every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in New York City. And in addition to that, make sure to check out all the ways you can glow forward with us in the description and the above or below, depending upon what platform you are on. And you can get plugged into that 5-day challenge that we did for the perfect inner work, to really not have to do so much work is the goal, to accept yourself for who you are and to step into your vulnerability and to show up in your true self. And that's what's going to basically make you feel whole and complete, as we're talking about today, so that you can easily and effortlessly attract your twin flame and that they come to you. And you're so welcome, Arcade Dude. So any final messages, Raised, before we tune out for tonight? We show up next week.
Just, I love you all. Thank you so much for showing up just as we are, and just go forward and just open your hearts, be ready, be willing to accept that love into your life, because you are so, so worth it.
You definitely are worth it. We send you loads and loads of love. Make sure to go back to the beginning if you're just tuning in, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Rise with Raise. Bye for now.